your mind, lost in
Like rule questions, not pedantic, how could you possibly know this information questions, right? Like, if you don't understand what happens when you roll a 6, ask. That's fine.
Right.
Don't ask me why that's what happens when you roll a 6. Because that's what the game designer designed, you clown. Like, I wasn't in the room.
You need to get that. You need to get that lighter. What is it? The butane lighter that you have. He needs that for his blunt.
Yeah.
The one that like you can set it on fire upside down and shit.
I have one of those. I
Yeah,
just
you
don't
need-
have it here. I have one of these little shitty little clippers.
Oh,
But to add on to the point, to be honest, for me, like I love board games. I love strategy games, role playing games. The biggest problem I have, and maybe it's just me being a bitch, I don't like playing with people like that. I don't like playing with people that just come on, like we're here as a team. Let's go. Don't ask all these stupid questions. Like you'll figure it out along the way. I mean, come on, you guys have been playing D&D for I don't know how long. You reach a point where you figure things out. You know, you ask here and there or whatever, but like you don't have to be a fucking pest at the table.
well, and that's the thing is, and I don't know if are we recording by the way. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
realized. Oh
Okay.
yeah, even better. Okay, good. So like, one of the things that we always say is you know, don't be an asshole. It seems like a really easy thing to do,
Real easy.
but surprisingly, it's not because people seem to put their eccentricities into the game. They don't listen to other people, and that assholeness comes out when really all you got to do is be a person.
Yeah. When it, especially as it applies to role playing games, because you have to shut up long enough to hear what is going on, right? Because if I'm playing a board game, I can look at the board state. But
Right.
if somebody has just delivered a 5-minute description and then I turn around and was like, oh, sorry, I was texting. What was that? Everybody at the table is frustrated.
Yeah, because you were an asshole. You didn't pay attention, like, and particularly in tabletop games, like D&D is a great example. It doesn't matter what game, but like D&D is a perfect example because everybody knows it, right? You're telling a story, and it's not just like the dungeon master telling the story. Now he's usually he or she is the main person telling the story, but I'm telling the story from a character perspective.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions. There's a lot of back and forth. It's like, I always liken it to like playing when you're a kid, right? When you're playing with your brothers and sisters and you're having a good time and you're describing what's going on and stuff. That's important, that information. Because if you're sitting there texting on your phone or whatnot, then you're not paying attention to that, and you're doing it a disservice to the actual story.
Right.
That's the whole fun part about it.
Well, I think it all ties back to we live in a digital age and there's so many types of distractions. But I think the thing that I love about board games and I love about strategy games is the power of communication. It's a great way to hang out with friends. It is. Have a good night. Maybe you can grab a beer or something and spend a few hours. I wonder, am I the only one that thinks like this? Because you guys think like this. There's a lot of people that think like this, and it's where can you use these skills and strategies at its best? And how can you make it worthwhile?
Hey, just to let you know, I'm not seeing anything come across on our side, audio wise. Are you seeing stuff when we talk?
I am. I can hear you.
I just wanted to make sure that it's coming down. This is the thing about Zencastr. Sometimes it doesn't show like the waveform, and I wanted to make sure that we were recording properly.
Let me just double check.
Because on our side, we don't see our waveform.
I'm going to tap this over here and just see.
Oh my god! Oh, it says passed. Yeah, you guys are good.
Okay.
Yeah. Life of a podcaster. I'll tell you that right now. We always worry about our audio because trust me. Oh my god, we're trusting honestly, trusting these platforms to do their jobs and paying them to do so, no.
We had an interview with Keith Baker, who, if you're unfamiliar with him, he wrote the game Eberron. And
I've heard of it.
right
I've never
before the
played it.
interview, every single thing that we had broke.
Oh, shit.
The computer restarted. Matt's laptop died.
Just clown shoes.
Yeah, it was just, it was Three
Oh
Stooges type antics were happening up in the studio. And the best part about all of it is I'm sitting here furiously texting Keith Baker. I'm like apologizing. I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry. We're having some technical issues. And at the same time, he's trying to get a pizza delivered. And apparently his computer just like got struck by lightning or something and it died on him. And so all of it was happening at once, which was great. So he didn't have to wait. But we sign in and he's like, I'm sorry, my laptop fried. And we're like, bro, you don't have a damn clue what happened to
Oh,
us.
shit.
We're all having the same night, 200, 300 miles away, whatever it was. Yeah, we get it. It's fine.
God. No names said, but I've had, oh my God, I had one of the most bananas experience I had. I had a band member based in LA that came onto the podcast, and this was a second rescheduling. So we were scheduled twice. And I had a friend of mine, a neighbor, and we went out and he got drunk and plastered. And while I was doing the recording, he came into my apartment because the door was open. And, he sometimes hangs out. And he just, TV's on, blasting just 9 yards. And I was just like, oh my. 40 minutes in, I have to redo the recording. Redo another hour. And I was just, please don't hate me. I'm a sweet guy. I'm not an asshole, but I hate those moments, but I love those moments at the same times because it's just like the universe, just lighting a fire under your ass. Just I'm gonna get you. I get you
it
real
makes
good.
For good stories, though, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, worth living while. So, the two of you, I know that you guys do Goblins Corner.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, and I recently I was listening to one of your episodes while I was driving home in my convertible, fully down on the highway. Listen to this podcast. I really loved the one that you were doing was in regards to currency. I've had conversations like this before with people, but I never put two and two together. Currency in role playing games, especially strategy games like board games, they don't make any sense.
Oh no, it's absolutely bazooka.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is bazooka. Yeah, hit it with the bazooka. I'm down with that, Matt. You said it perfectly well. It's bananas, and
it was bananas and bonkers. That's what
together.
You did a mashup word. Yeah. That's great. I've always felt this.
Word of the day.
This. Yes, word of the day, right there. One of the things that I think is the reason behind that, and we mentioned this in the same episode, is that money is often an afterthought in games. It's like, oh man, I've got this thing for magic. Oh, okay, cool. I bought a bunch of classes. I've got all the equipment.
Here's how you stab somebody.
Here's all the rules. Here's the world. It takes place on a giant turtle. It's nothing but turtles all the way down.
Sure, but
you've got to pay for shit. and then they're just like, I don't know, man. Let's just make it gold pieces. Just fucking call it a day. And then they're done, right? And so, nobody's an economist that makes a board game that I'm aware of. I mean, Gygax he was an insurance guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was probably the closest, which is why, some of the older editions.
Well, I know that there's some, battle, the battlecraft, battleship, with those, especially when you're on teams, where I'm pretty sure that the finances in those types of games is a lot more superb, because I think those games usually could take a few years to complete. Yeah, something crazy like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of part of it is I don't get too worked up about it. We don't.
Right.
It's kind of like travel in games, right? You're not going to be able to summon the giant eagle. You're not Gandalf jumping off the mountain and flying, and next thing you know, you have a cut scene. I mean, you can. That's easy. If you really try to map out these adventure worlds and stuff, they're gigantic. It take forever. I built a world for it was for Reld.
Yeah,
and it was a Titanic world, right? It was actually 4 or 5 times the size of the Earth, right? It was a big world. There was exploring. And I did the math. And actually, our buddy, who's very
numbers oriented.
yes, he's a very numbers guy. And he was like, it's going to take approximately 8 months to get from this side to this side of the ocean. And I was like, nah, it's going according to story. I'm not sitting here having you guys roll every day.
Yeah, and that's something to think about, right? Like, move at the speed of plot. You're telling a story. You want the narrative to move at a certain clip. Like, just move at the speed of plot. And if somebody has a problem with it, just be like, you're aware as a character that it should have taken longer and it didn't. And you don't know why.
Yeah.
You get to sleep on that now.
It's because of magic. That's why. And money's the same way, right? Look, I'm a wizard casting fireballs. You're worried about like how much the gold pieces in the next town is if you buy all the shit up? No, you don't worry about that. DM comes in and says, we found another hoard of gold. Cool. I'm not worried about, tanking the economy because I raided a dragon's lair.
Right.
Well, also you get, for example, when you're in a group and you have characters that are playing, if you have a character that's being obnoxious and stealing all of the gold and causing other characters to die, like your other friends and companions around you, when the time comes, they're going to bite you in your ass. So your money's not going to save you because this one's going to throw a potion to poison you and this one's going to try to strangle you or whatever. So again, that's like emphasis to the point of what does it matter of how much money you accumulate?
Yeah,
If you don't even work with
protect
your
you
team
from
members.
lightning.
Yeah.
Gold doesn't protect you from consequences. And that also, if you're stealing from your players in a game, now unless you're playing like that kind of understanding where you're a bunch of rogues and you're going to be stabbing each other in the back. But if you're just being that guy, then you get what you deserve, man. In our games, death doesn't necessarily mean the end. I mean, you can get resurrected in D&D. There's ways to come back from the hells in some of the World of Darkness games.
Yeah.
For example, being arisen. So you kill somebody off, you might just have them come back pissed,
Sure.
ready for
Shit.
vengeance.
Yeah. It's like, that day that somebody's been in the bathroom for way too long, and they come out and they got that look on their face and you're like, you do not want to mess with them right now. It's just not a good time.
He just used up the whole roll. It's
Two
a bad time.
rolls.
Two roll?
Yeah,
Oof.
bro, 2 rolls. Okay? If you're going to
That's a rough
spend 10
day.
minutes in there, you better finish 2 rolls, okay? You can't. No.
Get yourself a bidet at that point, my friend.
Shit.
You're using up that much
Gotta
rolls,
use
man.
a little handle.
Yeah, you're killing trees at that point, man. Just use a bidet. Hose that down.
Jesus.
Get the industrial version. It's got the garden hose attachment to it.
Leave
pressure-
the restroom straight to the plant nursery and plant a couple trees.
You got pressure washer that buttocks down, man. Let me tell you.
Bro. Yeah. You got to bring in the hazmat team, with the yellow suits, come in there with the tape, caution, all of that.
It's going to take an old priest and a young priest to defeat this.
No, but the young priest goes in first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he comes out the old priest. That's how you get old priests.
You send them in, they come out. Oh, shit.
I've seen some things that you do not wish to ever see in the world, my son.
Oh, fuck. Well, we're doomed, ladies and gents. That I'll tell you right now. I'm actually curious. How did the two of you come together? Because you guys seem like you've been friends for a long time. And usually friends happen because the universe decided that they want to put them together.
Way back in 1997.
Oh, shit.
Has it been that? Has it been so long? Go get my walker. Take my back medicine. We were in high school, right out of high school, and both of us were working in restaurants back in the day. And I was a waiter, and he was a cook. And I remember
we had a mutual friend.
We had a mutual friend that introduced us.
And at work, we go by our real names like we do on the podcast. But in our lives at the time, both of us went exclusively by our nickname. And our mutual friend knew us by our nicknames. And she was like, oh, you work with another...
All about the artist. That is the whole purpose of this podcast, period. And you have a really valuable tool. You can share this with artists, people that are creative, someone that can enjoy this podcast and really enjoy the experience of Lost in the Groove. So, with that, let's jump back to today's episode, shall we?
A friend of mine, you guys would get along super well. You should really talk to so-and-so. And she was telling him the same thing, but we'd get to work and not ever see whoever this mysterious person that we work with based off of not using our nicknames at work.
Now, as luck would have it, we were friends basically from day one anyway. Because I remember I got off work and you were making a salad because we worked at this unnamed Italian chain that I will not talk about. But
Yeah,
and we just
indeed.
started interestingly enough, we started talking about D&D, right? Talking about games and stuff like that. 2.5 months go by. I didn't know who this mysterious person was that my friend was trying to get me to meet. He didn't know who this mysterious person was. She comes rolling in, calls us both by our nicknames, and we both point at each other and we're like, you!
We turned into the Spider-Man meme.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And that's how it started.
I think some of the greatest friendships start in the most random and weird, absurd ways. But I think, again, this is where this conversation even started. Games have a way of bringing people together, especially like D&D. It's kind of a way of how to make friends for some people. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of people who are very quiet, in the corner, wallflower kind of people until you get them to a game table. And then all of a sudden, this person that did not exist before is literally singing and dancing as a bar, like straight out. I don't give a shit how many people are in this room. Like, if they need to go into full song, suck it up, crowd. That's just how it's going to be. And you look at this person and you're like, where were you 30 minutes ago?
It's like improvisers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I'm an improviser. I work with a lot of improvisers, and some of them you meet them in person and they're just, you wouldn't even know that they got up on stage and, pulled their pants down or whatever. Like they're just very like innocuous people, right?
I mean,
Until they get up on stage.
You're talking from comedian, like you're a comedian besides you doing D&D, which
Yes.
I actually love that because that's a really great twist. It's like, well, not only do I do D&D, but I'm also a comic. So, buckle up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a great comic, but I definitely have. And
It's a craft.
Matt's done some bit parts as well. We've been, again, Atlanta is huge in the movie crowd anyway, but I've been an improviser for about 15 years now.
Okay.
That checks out.
Yeah, something like that. And I've probably been a comedian for longer than that. Just,
I mean, I've been a comedian my whole life.
Came out the womb with a mic in my hand.
Oh my God. Yeah, I get that. I'm no comic by any means, but I'm the type of character where I make people laugh because I'm so miserable with life, and it's just like, well, fuck
That's
it.
literally every comic, my guy.
Yeah. I just described 3 million people.
How bad your life suck. Yeah. Oh, you must be a great comic.
There are two types of comics. The ones that are attention-seeking and the ones that make fun of how garbage the world is, right? Like, and
Yay, me.
There are people that can be both, but it's always one of those two. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's making people laugh and making people intrigued in a story, I think kind of tie itself together. Because the whole thing about being a comic and the whole thing about being a good dungeon master, right, is being able to intrigue the audience, tell a good story, get people involved.
It's all emotional response.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's also selling something in a way. So like a stand-up comic is very much like a salesperson. They try to sell their version of how the reality works in a joke or in a scene. Same thing with improv. The only difference is with improv is you've got a whole cast, usually multiple people, building this world. And those skills are the same for any good storyteller or dungeon master, because if you can tell a good story, whether it's via intonation or voices or even just the way that you say something, good descriptions and stuff like that. All the stuff that
Cadence.
cadence, all the stuff we've been talking about for the last couple of years on our podcast. Then you have a good story, right? Like it's not, you don't need to be like an award-winning storyteller to tell a good story. You just have to talk like a person, and do well at it and respond to others.
Yeah. As long as you know two things, who the characters are and who the players are.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can absolutely murder a story every time, because the object is to approach the players through their characters.
I was about to say it, yeah. The best stories we've ever played, 90% of that we didn't write. And the reason is because if you're doing your job as a storyteller, you're just softballing stuff. You set it up. They're knocking the home runs. It's not you telling the story, it's you setting the story and then everybody else telling it with you. And
this reminds me of Robin Williams to the T, because he was the type of storyteller and actor that he did a lot of improv.
Yeah.
A lot.
Mhm.
Like in Aladdin, when Good Morning Vietnam, a lot of the films that he did, even Mrs. Doubtfire, just tons and tons of things he just threw in there, because I think, like you said, a key element of being a great storyteller is two things: knowing your players and knowing your characters. You got to
Yeah.
be able to understand. Can you maybe, I'm curious, because I don't really have any knowledge in this. What would be a great example of meshing those two together, like a player and a character, real well?
Okay, let's say you have a person who is playing a goody-goody character, right?
Okay.
And they're all about, you want to provide them with a moral, like a true moral quandary.
oh yeah, like undead babies.
I was going to go with Goblin
Ooh.
Children.
Undead babies. They're babies. Do you want to kill
Zombie
that baby?
babies.
But they're zombies. You want to kill that zombie baby?
babies.
Right.
That's a quandary.
But if you make them not zombies specifically, intelligent undead, right?
Okay.
Vampires.
Something that has a mind, something that has a conscience, something that can be influenced,
Okay.
but also by its nature, it is dangerous. And then you set that in the lap of someone who has a very defending oriented character, but also who cannot stand violent creatures, right? You just set that in their lap and be like, and here's today's quandary, my man. How you doing?
Yeah, that
Because-
vampire Gerber baby is cute. But it's going to bite your head off. What are you going to do?
Call Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, we could. I mean, it needs its diaper change, but it feasts on blood. What are you going to do? It's a quandary.
It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. It's sucking on its thumb. It's so cute. It's going to devour you from the inside, crawl in the bite wound and just make a nest.
Sure.
It needs those bloody titties.
Ugh. That's like
You get it a blood golem. Call
a
it
blood
a day.
golem. There you go. That works too.
I don't know what kind of rabbi you'd call in that situation.
It'd be a dead one by the end of it.
Nah.
That'll be true, yeah. Imagine, like, a 7-foot golem and a little, 78-year-old rabbi from Great Neck.
I don't know. The old rabbi probably handled it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is the person who creates the golem's perfectly safe from it. It's everybody else who's
That's
in
good.
danger.
That's true, yeah.
Something to think about. The more you know, Rainbow.
Yeah, that's why you don't mess
Yes.
with 78-year-old rabbis. It's a terrible plan.
They've seen some things. Yeah,
Well, if
they
anybody's
walked
ever
into the
had
bathroom
this-
as a 30-year-old rabbi, came out as a 75.
Shit. There's so many things that you can learn, especially on Lost in the Groove, where everything here is 100% fact and proven. No, that's complete bullshit. We know that. But going back to what you were saying is kind of being able to create strength on the character. Basically putting things in a person's ways, hence player, where you know that they can accomplish these things if they put in the work and actually figure out a strategy that works best for them. How are they going to deal with this zombie, not zombie, this demonic soulless baby that's in their arms? Like, what are they going to do? How are they going to figure out how to be able to deal with that when they've never had to deal with that before? I think I'm too stoned to figure that out in my head right now.
Well, that's the thing. Is like you don't give them the opportunity to plan for it either. You put it in their lap because real emotional response comes in the moment.
Okay.
It's called, yeah. It's
'Cause
kind of like
call of
you
action?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you kind of got to know. I mean, part of it also is knowing people too.
Right.
Ooh,
And
yes.
knowing what people in theory, let's say you don't know any of these people you're playing with, which can happen. In fact, some great game I just ran was a bunch of randos that we're great friends now after a year, but I didn't know them at all. I just signed up and I was like, yeah, I'll DM your game. You guys want an intrigue campaign? Okay, here you go. All of you are framed for murder. And we just started from there.
That's literally how the game started. Was
I
everybody
love
was
that.
arrested and framed for murder.
Yeah, they're all framed for the same murder. There's only one person that did it, but all of them were seen doing it, and none of them actually did it. And then that's how we started it off. And then I just kind of listened to how everybody reacted to this kind of ridiculous scenario. And from there, we started to learn how people thought, right? So that you get one of the guys was big into action sequence, right? He did a lot. The other people wanted to talk about the repercussions for their actions. And like literally they would sit there for 20, 30 minutes and talk about how they felt about the last thing they did, which was kind of cool. It allowed me to prep and stuff like that. One of the individuals, she was really into just, hey, I just want to get to the combat portion of this. And so
Right.
you kind of throw them, you throw them a bone, right? You tee up what's interesting for them, and you try to come up with something that's interesting for all of them, obviously, but you can bounce back and forth and put it into their perspective. So, for example, let's pretend that Matt cannot stand drama, right? Matt's anti-drama.
Murder hobo. Yeah,
He's a
let's
murder
do this.
hobo. He's all about
Damn
clubbing
it.
stuff like a baby
Damn it,
steer.
Matt.
Damn it, Matt. He's just clubbing everything. He just rolls into town, beats the shopkeeper to death, steals the money, right?
That's
All
how
right.
you do, man.
That's how
I needed that rope.
that's a tough way to deal, right? And let's
Shit.
say that
Cold life.
you want to get to that interesting character perspective. How am I going to deal with both of you? It's simple, right? I can describe a situation and then say the same thing in his brain. So I can be like, all right, you're rolling into town. It's a dusty town. It's we're going Western here, right?
Okay,
You're
yeah.
on to a Western
Ooh.
town. There's a couple of gunslingers lounging
Okay.
in some
like this.
recliners. There's a madam in a bordello just kind of fanning herself delicately. Now, I might tell Dave here that it's, get into like the descriptions and maybe how the sunset glistens off the bordello's bodice, right? I might roll into you and be like, it's full of enemies everywhere. At any point in time, you could be shot and killed, right? Because he's combat oriented. Again, same description, but I'm saying different things to let them be on the same path.
So they can be able to understand what they need to do.
And work together.
Right.
Wow.
Because what is important to you in a scene is not necessarily what's important to me in the scene. And neither of those may be what's important to the scene.
That's true too.
I know.
You're looking at the bordello. I'm looking at the gunslingers. And there's 6 bodies laying in the corner over there that both of us missed.
That's happened.
Yeah, the other situation you can run into is like if you run into a saloon in this rando town you've never been to, and then there's an upstairs, and you pull out your gun and you start shooting. You don't know how many people are upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if they have a whole battalion that's there and they're gonna run you down.
You might have killed the man with no name's dog, and now he's sworn vengeance on you. He's going to track you
And make
forever.
4
in the
movies
dusty
out
West
of it.
Woods. Yeah.
4 movies.
He's gonna hunt you down, dig a ditch. He's coming for you, and his 10-gallon
Shit.
hat. His 10-gallon hat even has a gun.
It's
Isn't
11
it-
because he's special.
Oh yeah, he's got an 11-gallon hat. It's a big head.
Isn't it funny how they made in a way, a video game into a movie? I mean, they've done this stuff before. It's not the first time, but John Wick is a video game that's a movie. Come on. I mean,
Yeah, I can see that.
Sure.
yeah.
John Wick is, well, I mean, you know, revenge stories are pretty easy to write, but where John Wick really did well was it's
World building.
huh?
World building.
Yeah, the actual world behind the assassins that live. What I also love, by the way, is that I don't know if you've seen the newest one or not, but
I
they're
have.
fighting. They're fighting in that European club
Yes.
with the waterfall. And
Yes.
what I love about it is they're still fucking dancing while the guys are like beating the shit out of each other. And it's like, dude, this guy is shooting another person, and y'all are just got your groove on going. I was like, this is like everyday stuff, right? So obviously that's the world they live in, where just assassins roll around and take the train.
Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
dangerous world.
it's just so interesting because it's like a whole level or different realm. You know, I feel like even with the newest movie, it's with each boss, each character, it's just different levels. You know, I could go through the movie and be like, oh, that's level 12, that's level 13. But I find that really cool because, hello, I don't have to use a handset, you know, a game controller. Sometimes I like to use my own game controller, but it sometimes take a little bit of break for an hour or so. And let
Someone
somebody
gets
else do it.
power-ups in the game.
Yeah.
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 I mean, he fell off a building at one point.
Yeah,
It's
and
fight,
survived
cutscene,
miraculously.
fight, cutscene, fight, cutscene. It's a Final Fantasy movie without magic.
Hmm.
Oh shit, I didn't even think about it that way.
Every time the music changes, the track loads.
Yeah.
Just like a different part of the CD loads the game. It's not bad.
Yeah, but it's literally cutscenes, right? Because there's so much action, and then it will go to a cutscene, and sometimes a cutscene will happen in the middle of the action, just like in a video game.
Okay, you guys on the internet, this is what I want you to do. I want you to play John Wick 4 and somebody splice in one of the Final Fantasy soundtracks instead of the music. Stick that up on YouTube for us.
Shit.
Oh, that would be dope.
That would
That
be
would be
great.
so
That would be
dope.
so good.
So awesome.
I want to live to be able to see that now. Like that needs to be real. You know, it's just I don't know. We live in a very weird and interesting time, especially if you're a geek or a nerd, because there's a lot of stuff.
And there's so many talented people out there who are like, you can have the strangest idea and someone somewhere is obsessed with that thing and will make it happen.
Yeah.
As long as you can get your sentence to their ears, that will become a reality. And I think to some extent, that's what, as podcasters, a lot of us are trying to do, is we are trying to find specifically the people who are obsessed in the ways that we are obsessed.
And
Do
have
you
money.
think do you think in many ways that like strategy games, board games have made a resurgence?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you look at what was on the offering 20 years ago versus what's in any given game store now, I mean, you can't help but see that.
Not only that, it's not as corporate as it once was. It's more corporate and it's less corporate. And what I mean by that is nowadays you can have independent publishers producing independent games, doing Kickstarters, I mean, we've got people sending us stuff, and there's like independent games. There's probably some just like I can reach back and grab some, and they're great stories. They're great games, different rules. There's hundreds of them out there. People are diligently creating, or they're adapting the existing games. Like D&D is a good example, right?
Yeah.
With the DM's Guild and stuff like that, where they're just pumping out content, and it's awesome because people are excited. And when people are excited about what they make, everything is good.
Yeah.
It's
And-
when people get pissed off about it,
Right.
you see a bunch of shitty games.
But also, like, the same is true for board games as well, though, right? Like, if you look at the span of types of board games that are you've got deck building board games, you've got like Ticket to Ride, which is a completely different narrative to Susiko, which is different than like Sushi Builder, which is different, right? Like, the span is outrageous. And it's everything from like, oh, operate a sandwich shop to, oh, you're on a sinking island and you have to figure out the secret to you're
Oh,
in a
that game.
haunted
Oh, I
house.
played it. I played
Forbidden
that game.
Island. Yeah.
Yes. And it's actually kind of funny. I made it to day 4 and then I died because I did not create enough shelter and there was a hurricane and
That's
I
how they
died.
get you.
Yeah. But
Bad time.
I remember when we were playing that, a friend of a friend, she brought the game to try out. And I just remember that experience of being like, what is this? And everybody's just like, huh, this is, oh, okay. And we're just kind of playing along and figuring it out. And that type of game, I never saw that as a kid. It
Oh, yeah.
never existed. I never heard of anything like that. Just to be like, whoa, who made this? Oh, it was like an Indiegogo like fundraiser. I'm like, what? Somebody like actually raised money to make this game? It's like, yeah, people raised money to make this game happen.
And that's how a lot of games are being made now. Even some of the ones that are breakout games, you've got to start somewhere.
Right.
And they're good.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. It's because people put their soul into that game.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Have you played Smash Up yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. When you're done with this conversation, like as soon as you hang up tonight, go find a game. It is so much fun.
Smash Up is great.
I love it so much.
Where is it on?
You can get it at Amazon. It's by the game company AEG. And basically the whole premise is it's a bunch of like genres like time travelers or zombies or wizards or whatever, and you're trying to claim bases. But you have to play 2 genres. That's your team up. You get 1 deck of cards from like zombies and 1 deck of cards from like dinos, and you shuffle them together, and that's your deck that you're playing with.
Pirates and Ninjas.
Pirates and Ninjas.
Yeah.
I can do Pirates and Ninjas. I don't think that.
Tricksters and Geeks is my absolute favorite combination
Tricksters
because
and
it's
Geeks?
because it's not about winning, it's about being a bigger asshole.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so awesome.
Oh, and the shit talking in that game is excellent. As
Oh
well.
yeah.
Like you play the game to talk shit. It's like playing, when you play Munchkin, you basically have to mess with your friends. It's the same thing. If you guys don't know what Munchkin is, it's very much a backstabbing card game. Much like playing Spades, by the way. It's how I play Spades too. I
have watched it. I do not want to play it. I'm too
Spades
scared.
or Munchkin?
No. Here's the trick. Much like Monopoly, you only play Munchkins with strangers. Don't play Munchkin with friends.
Oh, I got you.
Just like Monopoly, it ruins relationships.
I don't know about that. I'd play it with people that
that's because you and I are assholes. But for normal people, maybe you shouldn't do that.
It's kind of weird because Gamer Circle, it can get intense. I just love, especially when I'm sitting by a table and I'm not going to say any names. It's just you have that one person. No, I don't want to. So what are we doing? We've got 5 people here. So everybody wants to do this, but you want...
Cool, then you can cook while we play. So, like I was saying, guys,
or go make a chips run, right?
Exactly.
Oh, you don't want to play? Awesome. Here's $20. Go down to the store. When you're back, we'll be done, and we can all snack.
Have you guys run into that problem before, especially when you're having a table?
Sure. There's always someone that's less than interested in some things. It's sometimes here's the thing. 90%, I'll say even more than 90% of the problems in gaming, whether it's table games or whatever, is just communication.
Right.
Right.
If that person doesn't want to play, cool. Let's find out something they can do. If they don't want to play with what everybody else is doing, well, you got to put your big pants on and go do something else. Yeah.
Right.
You go do something else. Have a drink. Hang out with us. Just have fun. Talk shit while everybody else is playing.
Exactly.
Hey, it's Dave, and I quickly just wanted to jump in and say if you've been enjoying the podcast, enjoying this episode, if you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'll be so greatly appreciated. Because here's the thing, someone might read that review and make the choice if they want to listen to the podcast. You get to help grow this podcast with us. How fucking cool is that? Let's jump back to today's episode.
We are the kind of people who don't mind an audience. Like if there's someone nearby with a drink in hand talking trash because somebody made a stupid decision or like a garbage roll or whatever, that's fine. But clearly we don't mind an audience, right? We wouldn't do what we do if we did. So,
Right.
and once again, that's dependent on your game group. I know game groups who would absolutely die before they would let people be in the room with them while they're gaming. And I know people who are like, yeah, let's do a live stream anytime you're ready. And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not a scheduling issue.
There's definitely a clingy culture, like I think to specific genres. I never understood them. And okay, like one thing that I've run into, those sci-fi space strategy games, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you're usually given a board and you're given like different colors representing like your team or markers, and you have to like I don't remember how all these games work. And just the environment around it becomes very clicky, because
Oh, yeah.
usually somebody's bringing it because other people, played this game before and they want to play it again. And then when you come into it, it's like, it's so weird with games. It's like, how are you supposed to, when you walk into a game place for the very first time, just like as a general person, you must be like dumbfounded. Where are you supposed to go? Where are you supposed to sit down to? Who you're supposed to talk to?
So part of the cliquishness is because sometimes if you play a very specific genre of game, it can be very difficult to find a table. And once you find a table, that becomes your space. It's mine. It's the precious. And
Start
so
losing your hair and talk like Gollum.
and
That's
so
a good,
like
that is a good Gollum, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, because it can be so hard to find a table. Once people find a table, like they lock in.
They get protective of it.
Exactly. And so like they don't necessarily like other people joining, especially if it's one of those games where like it's a player game, you've got 4 people at the table. Well, now you're diluting a resource.
And this is something that's a problem in a lot of gaming circles. I
Yeah.
would say it's apparent in everything
Limited
nerd-related these
size,
days.
like limited capacity of how many players can play each game.
Well, not only that, but just this blindness to accepting newcomers into a genre, right? Like, I mean, one of the reasons we started doing the Goblins Corner was because we would hear people talk about, yeah, I never knew how to play this game because I tried to learn it and someone basically told me off because I didn't know how to play it, and I got frustrated, and I was like, that sounds awful, right? Like, I would be, if someone wanted to learn to play a game, you should be happy that they're wanting to express an interest in something that you love, right? It's and that's it kind of dumbfounds me in many ways why people act like that. I know it's a lot of it is for various reasons. They're just not great people, right? There's a lot of toxic people in the world. And it could also be, as Matt mentioned, like a protectiveness and stuff. But I think the more that you explore and welcome other people into a game system, into your role-playing game, into your card game, your board game, whatever you're doing, right? I don't care if you're playing ukuleles on Fridays, right? Which, by the way, that would be kind of fun, right? Have like a
Yeah, it would
ukulele
be.
group. That'd be dope.
The
You know?
ukulele circle, like a drum circle.
A
Yeah.
ukulele circle. We're doing that at con.
Somewhere.
All right. But
yeah.
I mean, be accepting,
that.
be welcoming to others, and it'll just make it even better. Because then they're going to go tell somebody else. They're going to go start their own group, and then this thing that nobody knows about that you're interested in is going to suddenly become beautiful because everyone's like, "Oh, you play that? I've always wanted to play. Cool. Now you're the cool guy." That's why nerds are cool now, because everybody's doing it.
Also, I will say this. there's a group of people who do not remember the dark time, the drought of new tabletop games, new role-playing game. They don't remember when, like, you had to go get Monopoly or Sorry or whatever random garbage. Not that those are garbage games. That's not fair. But those games have been out for 70
80,
years, whatever, 80
90
years.
years.
And nothing new was coming out, because when there was a boom of those games, people would get together with their tiny little groups and they'd play till they got bored of it, but they wouldn't sell a billion copies because nobody was bringing anyone into those groups. That was true for board games. It was true for RPGs. And it got to the point where the market didn't support new products. And now that they're booming again, we have to, as a community, welcome new people, because if we don't, in 10 years, we are going to be back at a point where we're only having to choose between Monopoly and Sorry or whatever games are already on our bookshelves,
That we don't
because
use.
nothing new will be being produced because the market won't support it again for another 10, 15 years.
Right.
And we can either choose for it to be cyclical, or we can recognize that the only way for it not to be cyclical is to continue to bring new people into the hobby.
Right. I have a game group out here that I go to out here in South Florida. They do it in a place called Black Flamingo, which is a in-house brewery.
Nice.
The cool thing about them is it's a very welcoming environment. You know, newcomers are always welcome. Everybody's always playing different games, and it's all about, like, you know, you kind of come together and, like, hey, what do you want to play? You know, we kind of make our tables, we play our games, we stop, we choose something else. Sometimes we move over to a different table and play something else, or just go and sit and talk. Sometimes they have music that comes in, which is really nice. So that approach, welcoming the new people in, realizing that, like, bring board games in that people haven't played before, try new things.
Yeah.
The thing is, if we keep on getting into these rotations, right, of where we go up these peaks and then we go all the way down, and then we go up these, and then why do we have to repeat the same mistakes over and over again? We know that sitting on your phones 24/7 in front of a computer in an office is not healthy. We all know that. We know that for a fact. We do know that coming together as people, spending time together, hanging out, is what makes us more connected. It allows us to communicate better, and it makes us feel better as humans. This is something I think we're realizing more and more now, even though we have the internet.
Doctors have done many studies about the act of play and how it makes you healthier, it makes you less stressed. I mean, they say laughter is the best medicine, right? So is play. Look at kids. Kids are generally healthy. Kids are generally happy when they're playing. And growing up, you kind of forget that. You know, role-playing games, board games, tabletop games, all of that stuff is kind of trying to get back into that structured play that you had as a kid and learning something new. Because if you don't, you can go into the bathroom and come back out as a 70-year-old priest, right? Like, keep yourself young. Keep yourself young. Do something fun, and you will feel the benefits for it.
There's
Well, I
nothing.
think-
There's nothing
go
wrong
ahead.
with being a kid. I love being a kid, and I think that's what being a nerd, like the ultimate nerd, is all about. Is being the ultimate kid. Am I right?
Yeah. Be a kid, have fun, explore, try new things, right? The best people who are gamers, the best storytellers, the best writers, creative people in general, play. They get out, they touch grass, they have fun with other people, they talk to human beings. They don't sit in a dark room and scowl, right?
Right.
I mean, some of them do.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how Poe wrote all his books, but
Not everybody is Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. Not everybody could strike that imposing figure and wheeze gently and say, Good evening.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people need to recognize once you reach a certain age, the best part of being an adult is setting aside your own money to buy the things you want, to enjoy the things you want to do. Right? No one's there to tell you you can't buy that new board game. No one's there to tell you you can't buy that new role-playing game. You're an adult. Go buy the thing and enjoy it.
Yeah.
When people are like, oh, grow up, I have grown up. And that part of me growing up was recognizing that it is every bit as important to my mental and physical health to enjoy part of my time as anything else.
I look forward to waking up every day and being more ridiculous than I was the day before. Get up and eat some sugary cereal, go watch your cartoons as a grown-ass man or woman.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, put on your nerd t-shirt, go play some D&D, go grab your friends
yeah.
and laugh with them. That's what
I had it because I work in a call center. I had a patient a while ago. He's 95, and he's a bicyclist. He bicycled his whole life, cyclist. And at 95, he's still cycling. He cycles, I think he was telling me like 10 miles a day or something like that. And he said, that's what I love to do. I love to ride my bike. And the guy's 95 years old. And guess what? He's still riding.
Yeah, he should. That's great.
Freddie Mercury wrote a song about it. It can't be wrong.
There you go.
I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride.
Yep.
I want to be 95 years old and riding a bike.
I want to be 95
Make sure you're
years
butt
old.
naked. Make sure you capture that.
That's the only
music
way to
video.
ride. When you're not, once you hit 89.
No, you're going to be sagging solo. You got to worry about your junk and the chains.
I
man.
mean, yeah, you can wear a banana hammock. But the rest of it, yes.
Listen, that banana hammock will be twirling and getting caught in other things
It'd
besides
be like a
the
parachute.
chain.
It'd be delightful.
Yeah.
If I reach 90, I will exist just to freak the younger generations out. It'd be, oh my God, Grandpa's driving down the freeway again, and he's naked. His banana hammock is acting like a parachute, slowing him down. So much wind resistance. He almost took off.
With the power of new technology, it now is used as a deflatable and inflatable parachute.
He's got his own airbags.
All I know is if I make it to 85, I want to be like Harrison Ford in Blade Runner. That's it. Just
what, drinking whiskey and killing robots?
Yeah.
I'll be down with that. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Of course, by the time he reaches 85, that may be a necessity.
I'm with you, man. Let's do it. Grab the
have
shotguns.
I'm gonna have that little tiny teddy bear that's like been through like shit, in my like space car, and be like, "We got this today," and you get your A16 rifle, I'm gonna fuck shit up.
Just a fistful of thermite rounds.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, let's go.
All right, Sonny, it's time to lock and load.
Listen. I mean, the dawn of aliens taking over and destroying human civilization, So it's so happening. I do not care if anybody tells me it's science fiction. Like, come on.
I don't think they're gonna bother to destroy human civilization.
Probably
Why?
not.
Like they could just come and chill, let us destroy themselves, and be like, "Yep.
Yeah.
We've got the technology to clean this up." So
they're not going to blow us up. We got Taco Bell. Why are you going to blow up a Taco Bell?
Oh,
Think about
right. We got to save
only
Taco
blow up
Bell.
one room at a Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Nice callback. Like, we've got fast food entertainment. They don't have that.
No.
They just got, what do they got? Spaceships,
Ooh.
longevity.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah, so what?
That's
Psychic
nothing.
powers.
Yeah, who cares? We got Baldur's Gate 3. Like, that's what's important.
What's funny is nobody ever thinks of it as, aren't aliens kind of like just a bunch of pussies? Okay? Because they spend all of their time coming here, right? And they're too afraid for like anybody to notice them or whatever. And they just zip out and leave. I'm like, why would you spend all of that effort coming all the way to this planet just so that nobody can notice you or see you or you can interact with anything. I don't know. It's just so odd.
So what you're saying is that crop circles are the alien equivalent of a third grader saying, "Do you like me? Check yes or no."
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, crop circles are two old men in England who started it in 76, whatever.
Yeah, it turns out it was not aliens, but
That's fine. That's even more fun. See, that's even better.
Oh yeah, oh my god, I actually watched an interview with those two guys showing how they did it. They would pole vault into wheat fields, and that's why there was never an entrance into the wheat field, so they could never track it. And they would just pole vault in, make the crop circles, and then pole vault back
That's
out.
why
And that's why there were never any tracks leading to the crop circles.
aliens are going to love us. They're going to
I
love
love
us.
it.
They're going to love us. They're going to put us in a zoo. They're going to be like, look at these crazy...
Watch what these crazy
These
things
hairless
do. Who
apes
knows?
are doing some amazing shit. Look at them. They just pole vaulted and made crocodiles and convinced everybody else that it's real. And there's a guy with crazy hair talking about ancient aliens now because of it. They did that. They're geniuses. And they've got Taco Bell. Like, and they've got
And
Netflix. What else do I need? Yeah. What
and
else do I
Chipotle.
need?
And
What's that?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Well, yeah.
Of course.
Nobody. End of the day, our music and our food are going to be the only thing that saves us from the aliens. Let's be honest. Our
You know what I
music and our
believe?
food.
I genuinely, this is my theory, and I don't know, I think this is probably the most realistic approaches. I think aliens live millions and millions of miles away, like millions of light years away, just galaxies away from us.
Sure.
And they have never had their planet had a catastrophe. So their species have had millions of years to evolve more than ours. So they're way more advanced than us, to the levels of maybe they figured out how to use time travel. Because they're so far away, they travel into the future to come to Earth. And maybe they have figured out how to use artificial intelligence where they just put it into the spacecraft, into these creatures that are just powered by artificial intelligence.
I like
and
that.
send them as observable scopes to go through the known universe.
And then they beam it back to their home galaxy and they call it reality television.
Well, what
Yes.
they do is they
Sponsored
put it on
by Pfizer.
compact disc.
They put it on what?
They put it on compact disc.
A compact
yeah.
disc?
Yeah, because they have to send it back in time
Oh, I
Ooh,
see.
so that
okay.
it reaches them in time, and then they'll be able to play it.
What about an 8-track? You know anything about an 8-track? 8-track
It
is
won't
better.
survive. It won't survive the time continuum. 8 tracks just won't do it.
Shit,
just-
bro.
Yeah, they just.
And there's no video on 8-track. What you going to do with that?
What about a laser disc?
You could do Laserdisc,
Yeah.
sure.
They're
That
bigger.
thing is too
Yeah.
big, bro. Like,
It's like a saucer plate.
oh my, yeah, you could use it like as a, like a ninja thing to just sling somebody's head off.
The Flying Guillotine.
What was the dude from?
Odd Job.
Yes,
I already know where you're going.
he's throwing his hat. It's actually a laser disc in it. See, this is how long I've known this man. I could literally say a word and he could finish my sentence.
Shit.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. Good skill, man, dude.
Yeah, you guys saw that. No editing involved. in
No
that
editing.
response.
This is raw, clean, fresh, uncircumcised. We promise you.
That's why you need that 70-year-old rabbi for the show.
Oh, shit. Yo, but you were saying about, oh fuck, what were you talking about?
Laser discs?
Yeah, and the guy with a hat that
Odd Job.
Odd Job.
Yeah. See,
You know Odd Job, right?
from James Bond. It's the big guy. He had like this hat, and he would throw it, and it would cut off your head, and it had like a metal rim around it.
The man with the golden gun.
Oh,
Is-
you know that? Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good job. I didn't know that.
Oh,
I
that
just remember
dude.
Odd Job. Yeah, that
He's
guy.
Oh.
wearing the suit, and he's
Uh-huh.
got the hat.
Very
He
like
was saying it's a laser disc in the hat because you said you could cut off somebody's head with it. It was
I
one
have
continuous
I
thought.
have a laser disc, and they are sharp. I will tell you that. I've cut myself quite a few times holding that disc.
I was unaware of that.
The blood makes it.
Makes it run better.
Yeah, it makes it run better. It's
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those ideas of somebody was like, hey, vinyl records, video, vinyl, laser, disc, smart
Sure.
idea. No safety regulations of any kind. You just pay under the table, and voila,
It was
Laserdisc.
what, like the late 70s, early 80s when the Laserdisc came
Yeah.
out?
Oh no, it
No?
was
76, 75, around that
Was it?
time. I can fact check this. Hold on.
Yeah, I love how we sit here like staring at each other like the entire information of the universe, of the known universe,
It's literally
isn't
right.
at our hands.
I could hit a keystroke and look this shit up.
Okay, invented by David Paul Gregg and James Russell. Optical video recording technology. Transparent disc was patented in 1970.
Oh, wow.
1970. The age of
1970.
disco was the birth of the Laserdisc.
Well, they got one thing right, and that was Laserdisc.
There you go. And punk rock too.
They are better than compact CDs. They don't scratch as easily. They are
And
heavy.
It's far more difficult to kill somebody with a CD. Also, see.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
break. They break.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they used to crack all the time. Or if you left them, remember if you left them in the car when it was hot on a hot day.
They would just warp. Yeah.
Speaking of
Yes.
which, I found some artifacts lately from. I'm going through my house and throwing things away, and I found some artifacts. It was an entire box. Think of like one of the Home Depot boxes filled with AOL CDs. I have them still. They're downstairs.
Oh my God.
And there's a story behind this. Matt knows this story. Back in the day, we're talking to the kids here.
You on
used
the
to have
AIM
to
network?
use- yeah, you have to get on that AOL network. They
Mhm.
would pass out at the Walmart AOL discs, right? You remember this?
Yeah. The internet would even come in the mail on occasion.
That's true.
Yes.
And I would get those as well. And I had this great idea: is I would collect a box full, and then I would tile my bathroom in AOL CDs.
Mhm.
And it never happened. They just remained in the box, and I forgot about them until today.
I think it also would be an awesome medium to make a costume out of.
Out of AOL CDs.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
a cosplay.
Mm-hmm. You know, when the devil returns, when Ragnarok happens
Oh,
and the
God.
bombs go off, he will cloak himself in the robe of AOL CDs, and you will hear his dreaded call, "You've got mail."
Shit.
I was
You know-
thinking, boom, boom.
You know what the ultimate trip is? Get a floppy disk and just bring it up to anybody that's like a teenager right now. Just show them like, what is this?
They're
What's
like,
the-
oh,
what's
it's
the-
this. Somebody 3D printed the save icon.
Mhm.
Yeah. Times have really changed. I mean, I think the kind of oddest thing about it hasn't been that long. Like it's been a span of 20 years that things have constantly been shifting. I mean, you guys have been around and with your with your love of gaming and seeing things change. What do you think has been like the biggest change overall? Like just your experience like in the past 20 years
The
since
ability
the dawn of the internet. Ah.
I would definitely say the ability to play with people across the world.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, like, it used
Damn.
to be, up until the pandemic, in fact, we would have a bi-weekly game. Come over to my house or
In
over to
meat
Matt's
space.
house. Yeah, in meat space, where we would eat meat things,
Right.
and one of us would run a game, and that was a lot of fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. But since the pandemic, particularly, it has exploded because people were looking for options, right? Whether on a Zoom call, whether on a Google Meet, or Roll20, which does audio, or which we love is using Discord for the audio video. And you could just hop on a Discord channel, play some games with people across the country or across the
Right.
world, and you've never met them before. Hell, like again, the last game I ran, there was one of the guys from New Mexico, one of the guys from Chicago, one of the guys from West Virginia, New York, Washington State. Like everybody, we all met up around the same time, played some games. We're now friends.
Right. But I mean,
I've
even
never met
before-
him in person.
when we started streaming, Jet played from Singapore.
That's true. Yeah, he did. Yeah, we did some Twitch streams the last time we played. We had a guy from Singapore play, which was
Isn't that
amazing.
amazing?
That's the best part is, for all of the internet does bring out the worst in humanity, there's some good in it in that it connects people that you would never meet in real life.
Right.
And getting Yeah, being able to get, honestly, doing what we're doing now, being able to get the word out to other people and tell them about look at all this awesome stuff we're doing, right? Look at all the stuff that you can do yourself. Get online, go talk to some assholes, and they'll be your friends, right?
I mean, take the internet out of the equation.
Okay.
What are the mathematical odds that you and I, or that we and you, would be having any form of this communication whatsoever? What are the odds we would have ever met to have a conversation?
I would have probably had to have traveled to Atlanta and met you somewhere, or somebody would have had to introduce me to you, or one of you. Or another hypothetical scenario would be you would come down to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and then vice versa. Somebody could introduce you to me, or very much word of mouth. I mean, if you take away the internet, that's kind of how it was for artists. You had to know somebody that knew a lot of people.
And
That's
we
why
would have
people
had
had
to have hacked the
producers.
stream or something. We'd have to like be in our A-Team van, like, what is it, pump up the volume?
Yeah, because you wouldn't have a podcast. We wouldn't have a podcast. Once again, no internet.
Radio station.
Right. But that medium is, especially if we had continued to our current timeline, would be so saturated that literally you would have to run a tiny little pirate radio station, and we would have to run a tiny little pirate radio station, and we would have met through criminal means, which also fine, but that's what would have had to have occurred.
That's going to be a new movie now.
Oh,
What
yeah.
a great story. Like, in an alternate universe without the internet, 3 guys met up in an A-Team van and made a pirate radio station.
We have to be careful because, believe it or not, Bert Kreischer has ears. And if you think he's not coming out with another movie, oh, trust me, he is. And I bet
Bert,
you he's
call
going to
us.
steal.
We've got ideas.
He's going to steal the idea straight off of fucking Lost in the Groove. And guess what? When that movie airs, I'm going to be in the theater screaming my fucking I'm going to be like, "You motherfucker!"
It's
Where's
time
my
to
weed?
lawyer up. They get an old lawyer and a young lawyer.
Coming straight out of the
Trap him in
closet
the bathroom
as a young
with
priest.
Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, trap them in the bathroom. They both come out old and pissed off.
Penny the door
Don't
shut.
like a priest and Bert Kreischer in a bathroom stall. That just, no. The noises.
As long as I'm not there, it can only be a good story.
Okay.
Was it Yui Bowling, the guy who did?
Oh my god!
As long as he's not making the movie, I'm fine. Yeah.
Wait, what?
The guy that did Blood Rain, the movie Blood Rain.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
you're good. That is not something you need to look up or bother with.
Okay.
In fact, if you do want to look up anything, there's a director named Uwe Boll. You can look him up, go down his filmography, and decide never to watch any of those films. And you're solid. You're good.
Okay.
I don't understand why he's allowed to make films. I certainly don't understand why he's ever been allowed to make adaptations, let alone more than one. It's mind-boggling, and it makes me angry. That's my Uwe Boll rant. I'm done.
Yeah, well,
you don't really shit on many people.
Oh my god,
you're usually pretty chill.
I will do a rant in honor of this, and my rant goes to J.J. Abrams, hands down, for literally butchering, destroying storyline after storyline after storyline after storyline. And I'm like, who gave this man the right to make more movies? I'm sorry. No.
It's supported by the lens flare companies of America.
I know that.
And explosions.
And no, that's not what's the guy that did Transformers?
Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay. Yeah, he's all about explosions.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a great epic rap battle of history that does all of that, by the way.
Oh my god.
You should go look that up. That's great.
It's kind of funny. There are definitely directors that have those wonderful patterns that are, oh my god, so annoying. But they do it anyway, over and over and over and over again.
Until the numbers tell them to stop, they're not going to stop.
That's fair.
Who is going to give them the numbers? Who's going to have the balls to give them the numbers?
No, I'm not talking about what people say. I'm talking about as long as they are making money in the box office, they will continue to make lens flares and explosions. Like that's just
I'm thoroughly convinced the way movies work is the person who writes the script walks in with a big bag of Coke. And whoever walks in with the biggest bag of Coke for the
Agreed.
producers and cuts it gets the movie.
the reason you're convinced of that is because of Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, because that's definitely a drug-fueled movie. It's great. You've seen Dusk Till Dawn? It has-
Really?
okay, so imagine
Maybe.
a
Hold on.
crime film.
I have
Right?
to see the cover of it because I think I
Quentin
might have.
Tarantino, Selma Hayek, George Clooney, Patricia Arquette.
I think I've watched. Oh, I think I've watched this. Yeah. It's the really highly inappropriate movie.
Yes. Well, most Quentin Tarantino flicks are, but yeah, they kidnap a family. They flee to Mexico, and then vampires. And somewhere along the lines, you could definitely see it's like, okay,
Here's the setup. The setup is two criminals kidnap a family.
yeah, this is when they start cutting the coke,
Right.
and then they're like, all right, and then there's guns, and they're on the run, and they go into this bar, and there's a snake, and then they take a big sniff out of the coke, vampires, and they're like, oh god, that's great, let's do it.
Shit.
That's how it got made. That's my theory, anyway. Please, nobody sue us for that.
No, I mean, listen, the 90s, I'll tell you this, because I grew up in the early 2000s, and I'm very lucky that I was able to experience, 90s movies, because that's what I had as a kid, 90s
Sure.
movies. It was just fun, okay? And it was inappropriate shit that kids should have never seen. Bras open, which we were so thankful for. Thank you. Which, unfortunately, kids don't have today, because of all of the... But come on, that was just that awesome part of history of where you could throw whatever you want at kids and throw PG on it. You good.
One of the things that this is my rant. I'm gonna have a very simple. I have a very simple rant.
I
about
love
movies.
this.
My rant is this. Whenever they show hacking on any TV show, CSI is awful with this. Whenever they show hacking on any TV show, movie, whatever, he who types faster wins, which is the biggest bullshit in the world. It's like, oh, look how great of a hacker he is. He's banging the keyboards really fast. He must be the best hacker in the world. Yeah, he's just like literally playing the sonata
like
on the
angry
keyboard.
chimpanzee.
Yeah, just beating the shit out of the keyboard. And it's like, he's the best hacker in the world. He just slams the shit out of the keyboard. No, that's not how you hack.
Right. It's all scripts.
It's all, yeah.
No,
it's
actual reality. It's very boring because it's more of they have to input a key, then prompt, wait for it to load, then open, then revert the prompt, then get the pin. And it's like, are you done yet?
Someone needs to talk to somebody in IT when they make a movie and be like, is this really how it works? No. But that's how everybody thinks it works.
It's so boring in reality. It's so boring. No fast typing.
I want somebody in the movies to go to DEF CON just one time, and yeah, they're going to lose all of their money and they're going to absolutely get scammed, but at least they'll end the weekend with the information necessary to understand you should just not do a hacking scene. Because for the sake of movies, it's not fun or interesting.
Go look up the guys that did Mr. Robot. That at least was pretty, realistic. They obviously did a lot of cuts because it is a lengthy process. But I thought that was pretty good, at least for the first season. I didn't see the rest of it, but
they did a really great sci-fi series. I think it was called Expanse. That was on Amazon Prime. And what I loved about it is they took in practical science. So those spacecrafts you're seeing on that show can actually exist in our future in the next 50 or 60 years. The propulsion, all of it.
The author was a very hard science fiction writer.
And there's a couple of MacGuffins. Like, I mean,
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
the propulsion system is definitely one, but all of the rest of the science seems fairly realistic. I mean, maybe in 100 years we get something propulsion like that, and of course the aliens, but the science behind the ships, the rail guns, the what was it when the hole got punched in the first season and they just kind of did some spray foam and covered it up? Like, yeah, that's legit. You could do that shit.
There's
I
no
like the
noise.
idea of
That's the
no
only
noise.
problem. There is no
Mhm.
noise. So the way that the rails were going off, that could theoretically happen in space because there's no gravity or anything. So they would just kind of drift until they hit something. So that's why it looks like they're missing their target, but they're basically allowing it to push into. Which you ever notice they do like this kind of curve whenever they're shooting. They don't ever shoot directly at the target. Again, like yes, it is sci-fi, but what I always love about sci-fi things, especially like The Expanse, is when it's kind of like realistic. Like, could this possibly happen?
I want more Muppets in my sci-fi. I think we should do more. I think they should bring back Farscape.
Yes.
That would be fun. Totally not realistic. But you know what?
We can bring
But
Big
delightful
Bear.
nonetheless.
We can bring back Big Bear, but this time him having like a giant blunt, the way it's supposed to be, because we knew that he
Yes.
was stoned the whole time he was in his house.
And then he goes into the bathroom and comes out as a 7-year-old man.
Right.
And he knew it was all a dream.
Right.
I would like sci-fi that has enough of a budget to have aliens.
That would be fun.
We have an entire episode which is basically just me ranting about how all aliens are humanoid in sci-fi, and it makes me crazy.
Well, Chris had a really fascinating idea, and this was kind of interesting. She was talking about alien species that were made out of crystals or diamonds, which is totally realistic. You can totally have an organic creature
Yeah.
that could evolve from diamonds. And I was like,
I talk about that on the episode, in fact.
We're made of carbon.
Yeah.
yes.
We're made of chains of carbon right now. It doesn't mean that we give off. Well, if you burn us, we do give off, charcoal. But
Sure.
it's not like when I
But
They
you
would
could also
be
have
they would be
silicon-based
indestructible.
life
We
form.
would not be able to destroy them. So if these crystal beings came to Earth, we're fucked.
No, you could absolutely destroy them.
Are
De
you?
Beers would have a fit.
I
Their very
mean-
existence would threaten De Beers.
Okay, first off, keep in mind at the speed of which they're going to be moving, and recognize that what you do is you use weapons that turn them into projectiles, not the other way around.
Oh shit.
Oh, I'm a terrible person. Understand that. Like, never give me a problem to solve. I have solutions.
Okay. What
They
about?
create other problems, but I
Okay.
have solutions.
So this is a theory that I was reading a while ago, an article where a planet like Venus,
Mhm.
okay, if you took Venus and you put it into another galaxy around a red dwarf star, and you changed its climate, you make it 23 degrees colder, and you add in lithium as well as carbon dioxide, and you flood the entire planet. What basically happens is you create microorganisms from this toxic algae. You basically could have a planet of toxic bioorganisms.
That sounds like a lot of work to make a bunch of toxic creatures, though.
I know. We've already got humanity.
Well, you could just do it in a lab.
Well, who says
I
we
would
made these? Who says that we're the ones that are making these? Who says that there's an alien species that are like, this is what they do? Like, they harvest these toxic slugs.
Aliens that are making bioweapons by seeding planets.
Yes. They're like these.
Are we the ultimate bioweapon? Guys, you don't know. I know those things will eat the skull right off your body, but these guys have reality television and Twitter. You think
no,
sir,
it's not
Twitter
Twitter
doesn't
anymore.
exist anymore.
it's X.
X.
Yeah.
Rah.
Cross like an X-Man.
Yes. We are in the new age, officially. So
In the 90s, that would have sold so well, but nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. It's so
No.
extreme, guys. It's so extreme.
It's such a
Nobody gives a shit.
It's such a Steve Jobs approach, I feel, because that's what Steve Jobs did. Every single time he had a new thing, he wanted to piss everybody off. That was his job, was just to make everybody pissed off. And then everybody was happy a few years later, because then we adopted and spent more money on things that we shouldn't be spending money on. But anyway, 'tis the life.
Apple's a whole different rant for me.
Oh.
We're gonna move on from that.
Yes, we are going to move on from that. Let me ask you guys something. From your experience together as friends and people that you've met, what is like one thing that you can give to somebody that's new to gaming that wants to be able to start? Look around and be able to connect with people. What do you think would be a good approach and a good place to start mentally, physically? I don't even know. There is another one. Shit.
Spiritually.
Sure.
Spiritually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just find your key before you become a dungeon master.
If you go to a table and things are not working, that means there are a couple of things involved here. Either the table is not for you or the game is not for you, but it does not mean the hobby is not for you.
That's very good. I like that.
Oh, I like that. Be open to new things.
Yeah, I would say, again, it goes back to talking to people. This hobby, you have to understand that you're going to be talking and building a story with other people. And so if you want to succeed, the best thing you can do is get everybody on the same page and talk. And it doesn't mean you have to agree. The many games we've played, half people don't agree with anything, right?
Shit.
But they all have the understanding of what they are capable of creating and getting people excited about creating that world together. And if you can do that kind of collaboration, then you will have a great time. And if you can't, find people who you can do it with. Because
100%.
I guarantee you, they exist.
Yeah.
Set a common expectation, and as long as that is the common expectation, then everybody can operate wildly within those parameters.
So I would do session zeros, right? Get everybody on the same page.
Right. Be open to trying new things and also being able to be a part of that creative element. I think one thing I've learned from the past hour that we've been talking is being a person that plays board games. We want to call it the inner child. It's all about being humans. It's all about having fun. It's all about enjoying life, because guess what? Get one life. I don't give a fuck what happens when you're in the ground. You want to spend your time moping and on that shit, go right ahead. But guess what? You got right now. What are you going to do with right now?
Telling stories is one of the oldest pastimes that humanity has. Don't ever let anybody tell you that games are unimportant. It is how history occurred.
It's how mythology was created.
Mm-hmm.
It's how our belief system came about. It's how we became who we were.
Yep.
Powerful way to create. A powerful way to say.
That and, vampire babies. It's also how we came about.
And zombie babies.
Gotta kill those babies.
So, I found your guys' podcast, Goblins Corner, on Apple Podcasts, but you have it everywhere, right?
Yes.
It's everywhere and everywhere you can listen to. When do you guys post episodes?
Generally, we usually have the audio out Tuesday, or we usually have the video out by Wednesday.
Okay.
And we can be found on YouTube it's Goblins Corner on YouTube. We're on iTunes, Spotify, all of the listening places.
Podchaser, you name it.
Yeah. Podchaser's always great. If you want to leave a review, or iTunes, it gets the word out. That nasty little algorithm can spread the word if you tell us about it. But
that's how we close every episode, is what the algorithm is up to this week.
And we do have goblinscorner.com, which you can find all of the places as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Words tonight.
You literally can find everything on that website.
Hit us up. We're happy to talk to anybody. If you have questions, We also have a Facebook, of course. We've got all the other social media things.
We have an X.
We do have an X. We have to cross our arms when we say that.
X.
It's like a cult now. And
Thanks,
but seriously,
Elon.
yeah, hit us up. We're happy to talk. If you have questions, in fact, one of our listeners just hit us up about some game rules and stuff like that. They're creating a new character class. They wanted us to look over it.
Nice.
We're more than happy to do that. Like, that's what we're here for. We do this because we want to help people and because we get our jollies out of it. So
I love that. And to make it easier for Lost in the Groove listeners, I'm going to feature you guys on the YouTube channel, so you can just find it on the Lost in the Groove page. Make it easy.
awesome.
Yeah.
And if you want to find more of the podcast, you know where to find us. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at Lost in the Groove Pod. So, with that, I'm going to let the algorithm do its thing. I'm going to finish this podcast. All right? All right. Let's do this. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.